want to do a quick video on somebody had asked me a question on one of my previous videos, the one about when I say that no kid should be wearing a black belt, and that's, for me, in my opinion, it's in any martial art. You can go back to that video if you wanted to go over what I said. But basically, I had a question, a response to that particular video asking me, okay, that's fine, then at what age is an appropriate age for a youth to transition into the adult classes? For Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, 16 is the minimum age at which they can earn an adult belt, which is a blue, purple, brown, black. Those are adult belts. And then our kids, we go white, yellow, orange, green, and then 3 stripes on each of the yellow, the orange, and the green. So the question is, at what point can a youth transition? Well, it's really, it's easy, but it's not cut and dried. On which you can't just say at age 14 they go to adult class, or at age 13 they're in the juniors class. So at Combat Jiu-Jitsu, we have 3 different level classes. We have the kids classes, which range from 2nd grade to 5th grade, and then we have the juniors class, which goes from 6th grade to 8th grade, and then the adult class from 9th grade and up. It's not a final be-all end-all as far as the age groups, because you do have kids that are particularly tall, strong, agile in their group, and actually would fit in pretty well into the group above it. So it only makes sense that you make accommodations for them to move them into that particular class. So if I have a kid who's in 8th grade, and it's during the school year, because it's when summer hits, then that's when we consider them to be 9th grade, and that would be the natural time at which they would transition to the adult program. So let's say I have a kid who's in the middle of his 8th grade year, and let's say he's 5'3", 5'4", maybe weighs about $125, $130, whereas a typical junior student might be 4'10" to 5 foot, weighing about 70 to 90 pounds. You know, would I have that 8th grader stay in his class with the other juniors? No. He's much bigger, he's much stronger. I would have him go into the adult class. It really doesn't make sense to have him be the biggest kid among a bunch of smaller kids. It doesn't help him, and it doesn't help the other kids. Actually, it might help the other kids more, but that's really kind of debatable at this point. It's always good to have somebody who's small get smashed by somebody who's big. And the reason is because it helps you to figure out how to cope with the discomfort of having somebody much bigger, much stronger smashing you. The problem with that is when you're still in middle school and stuff, you don't necessarily have any strength to be tight, or core strength developed yet. It does develop, but at a you don't have that minimum amount of strength that you would need to be an adult. On the other hand, if I do have an 8th grader, or it could even be a 7th grader, who has that type of strength, that type of size, I just go ahead and bump them up. At the same time, if I have somebody who's in 9th grade, who's very small, very weak, and there's just too much of a size difference between most adults and that particular person, I'll have them go into the juniors class. It really does him a disservice if he's not only the smallest guy, he's the smallest guy by a far margin. You also have to look at mental maturity, but for the most part, the kids that we teach, they're all, by the time they get up to the juniors level, they're very mentally mature in the way that they're easy to train, they're easy to coach, they listen well, their attention span is pretty good, and they can do what they're asked to do. That's a pretty cut and dried one. When they're physically and mentally ready, just move them regardless of age. But you're not going to have, say, an elementary school kid in with the adult class. I mean, that's just, it's not right, because that elementary school kid just does not have the power and the strength to be able to deal with an adult, number one. And number two, I feel bad for the adult that gets paired up with him, because now his training is gonna have very little resistance. So that's the reason why we don't have mixed classes with kids and adults. So I hope that answers your question. If you have anything else, just let me know. Bye.